bodyguards. And so he's got to bring people from Cuba to do that. And of course, Cuba's going to turn around and, well, you killed all of our citizens. No, you were protecting Maduro, and you were doing it for a reason. Reminds me of when I was running around Central and East Africa, and because I'm a white guy, I'd be offered jobs all the time. This isn't a joke. They just don't trust their own over there. What is the term that they use? Mzungu or something. I think that was the term that they have for white people over there. But because you're white, you can be trusted because you have money and several other things. Versus being from the local population, you can't be trusted, you can be bought. All of these different things can go into you. So Maduro surrounded himself with people that were bought and paid for by Cuba, that were going to be loyal to him because they were likely making a hefty amount of money for doing so. And, unfortunately for them, they ended up giving their lives.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think that they really took the threat of President Trump, but President Trump was issuing very seriously. I think that's very, very clear. And I think you're 100% correct when you talk about Colombia being next up. Before we go, though, I do want to get your take on Greenland, because that's also very popular right now in the news cycle. People are talking about possibly the United States getting involved there. Obviously, that's quite important for us in the U.S. I'll give you the UK take on all of this in just a bit. Let's play clip 18.
I will say this about Greenland. We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic. Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And Denmark is not going to be able to do it, I can tell you. You know what Denmark did recently to boost up security in Greenland? They added one more dog sled. They thought that was a great move.
What would the justification be for a claim to Greenland? What would the justification?
Oh, I don't want to talk about Greenland now. I just say this. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And the European Union needs us to have it, and they know that.
All right, so obviously President Trump making it very clear on what he's going to Greenland. Denmark not very happy with that, though, and the British Prime Minister not very happy with it either. Keir Starmer coming out and saying that he doesn't support the United States getting their hands on Greenland. He's actually going to back Denmark and all of this to make sure that doesn't happen. But again, Starmer, not really a tough guy. I used a very colorful word for him over the weekend, and I think people really enjoyed it, but I won't say it on air. But, it's just sitting back and watching these people pretend like, President Trump isn't capable of doing it. I mean, Keir is someone who's probably be worried about his own country right now. It's being conquered.
Thank you. I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
I was just about to say that before you the streets before they start worried about what the United States is doing. Because, I say that today, but over inside of New York City, you also have the call to prayer being blasted right now, which I think is hilarious, because imagine being Maduro being run through the streets of New York City by the United States of America and hearing the Islamic call to prayer in the background. And then that man probably hasn't slept very much since he got ripped out of his bed in the middle of the night. But, originally when I looked at Greenland, I was like, I just don't see that being possible. But the more I've looked into the Russian-Chinese situation, and you heard Trump, he said you've got Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. And I would tell you, viewers, because there's just not enough time for us to really dig into it right now, but to look into the Russian shadow fleets and what they've been doing over to the EU and why countries such as Poland, which is why I brought it up, have taken a stance. And if we start having that stuff happening over here in the United States of America, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a very big problem. And again, I would rather have us doing leveraging certain things on the global scale versus dropping bombs. I don't think a global conflict would be very good right now, in particular. So I think what the president is doing is he's trying to reposition the United States. I think over the last several decades, because of how the United States infrastructure has been placed on the global economy and the global scale. You start talking about data centers in the Asia Pacific, or the Indo-Pacific region, and things like that were taking place. We were very vulnerable to China, right? And a lot of our different systems and stuff like that. And so when we were talking about looking at Greenland being very strategic to the United States of America and for our safety and security, I don't think he's lying about that. The EU is kind of in a poor situation because of their location to Russia, generally speaking, with waterways that kind of connect everything. And so they're able to have that shadow fleet, but by taking Greenland and having Greenland, I don't know how they plan on doing it, but I would tend to agree with them a little bit. China and Russia have been very bold over the last several years, and it keeps getting worse and worse as it comes to the United States of America. Let's not forget about the weather balloons that were floating over top of the United States of America. That was a very interesting conversation for me to have with one of my buddies. pretty high up in the Space Force about what was kind of taking place behind the scenes there. But, we also had Russia that was, shutting down airspace. They shooting NOTAMs off the coast of California last year for different launches and things like that were taking place. We had a Russian sub that was going off the coast of Florida on its way to Cuba just last year. So we have all of these different issues, and obviously like Russian bombers and things like that going over and probing Alaska, probing the west coast of the United States of America. Things like that are very typical right now, and things that the EU has been dealing with for a long time. And I want you to look at what happened in Ukraine prior to. Everybody thought that Russia invading Ukraine was never going to happen. We ignored them going in and taking Crimea. We allowed Putin and Russia to claim that they were conducting military drills that pulled up at 200,000 troops on the border of Ukraine before they ended up going in. And I want you to take a look at what China's doing outside Taiwan. Taiwan's very, very, very key to the United States of America, particularly for our national defense and security. They build a vast majority of the microprocessors that we use in a lot of the defense technology, a lot of the things that allow you and I to talk right now. A lot of that stuff is coming out of Taiwan. And so if China ends up taking that, it's going to be a big problem. And so it's important for the United States to posture ourselves right now and let China and let Russia know that, we're still the global superpower. And if you mess around, you're going to find out. We are going to take action.
Yeah, well, I like that that's the theme with this current administration these days. If you mess around, you're going to find out the hard way. Matt, thank you for joining us. For folks at home right now, make sure you follow on X at AngerTab. We're going to find him on X. Thanks, Matt. We appreciate it as always.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. All right, folks, I want to remind you all right now about the Alex Jones store right now. AlexJonesStore.com has, whenever you make a purchase of a supplement, you're going to get a free Atomic Defense bottle with it. Now, keep in mind, we're heading in right now to cold and flu season if we're not there yet. We're a little warm, so we're kind of getting over there. But this is a great supplement that you're going to want to take, of course, every single morning. Add it to your collection. Head on over right now to AlexJonesStore.com. Whenever you purchase a supplement for a very limited time, you're going to get a free Atomic Defense bottle as well. Now, this is very, very important for you. Or if you want, you get the Shilajit gummies. But I'm going to go with the Atomic Defense because, folks, again, cold and flu season's here. You want to be immune to either. You got to make sure your defense system is up and running properly and well-fueled. This is a great way to do just that. Head on over right now to the AlexJonesStore.com. This isn't going to last forever. It's going to expire this sale very, very shortly. So do that right now. Head on over to the AlexJonesStore.com. All right, I wanted to bring your focus to a couple of other things. I'm very, very proud of Brett Cooper, who has actually just called out Republicans for, pretending to be Maha supporters in Florida right now. It's a little separate because it's two different things.